after a flying start to the Mel Tucker tenure in 2021 in East Lansing with a phenomenal season. It was anything but in 2022. In fact, it was a disaster and just overall a disappointment last season. However, things are looking up for Michigan State in 2023. They got some nice solid pieces on the defense, but the transfer portal hit them hard late. We'll see what the Spartans are able to do in 2023. Can they maybe contend in the Big Ten East, or is this going to be another disappointing year in East Lansing for Mel Tucker's Spartans? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 133 college football FBS level teams, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So why don't you go ahead? Why don't you go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. But you can do more than that to help support my channel. You're doing one by watching the video, and you might as well do more by liking, commenting, sharing, really anything else you can think of to help support my channel. It would mean a lot to me, whatever you guys are able to do. Now let's talk about the Spartans in 2023. This is going to be a very interesting team to watch throughout the course of this upcoming college football season. Hey, if you guys haven't seen one of my videos before, here's how we do things around here. We take a look at a roster preview, take a look at who the team lost, who's coming back, and who's coming in by way of the transfer portal and a recruiting class as well. And then we're going to take a look at the Michigan State Spartans 2023 football schedule and give it a good old-fashioned game-by-game preview and prediction. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I give you the Spartans in 2023. Again, transfer portal did hit this team hard late in the transfer portal cycle as your presumable starter entering 2023 in Peyton Thorne, who last season, let me scroll up here, had 2,679 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions on 62.5% completion percentage, left to go to Auburn. To go over to that program to play for Hugh Freeze. So quarterback position, a little bit of an unknown right now. Noah Kim does seemingly have the most experience, but with limited experience at that. Threw 19 passes last year for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns, completed 14 of them, 73% completion percentage. You also have Caden Hauser, who threw a total of 2 passes last season, went for a combined total of 2 yards. And then freshman Sam Leavitt enters this room as well. So I'm going to give the start here to Noah Kim. I think he'll be your starting quarterback in 2023. But really, this is the toss-up in the quarterback room for Michigan State. In the running back room, you do lose Jarek Broussard and Elijah Collins. They were your third and second leading rushers, respectively, from last season. All of them, or both of them, I should say, around the 200 or the 300-yard mark. Reading is hard for me today. Apparently, Collins with 6 touchdowns, Broussard with 3 touchdowns. But you do return your leading rusher from last season, former Wisconsin transfer Jalen Berger, had 683 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. And then you are getting some transfers coming over. Nathan Carter was a very good option for the Yukon Huskies in his time there. Should be again for the Spartans, as well as Jared Mangum comes over by way of South Florida. In the wide receiver room, well, Jaden Reed is gone. Was the second leading receiver last year with 636 yards and 5 touchdowns. Again, hit hard by the portal. Keon Coleman transferred out over to Florida State. 58 catches, 798 yards, 7 touchdowns, all 3 categories he led the team in. And Jeremy Bernard gone off the team as well. You do return Trey Mosley, who was your third leading receiver last year, Montori Foster, and Caden McDonald, among some other names I could have thrown up on this board. Although what I am noticing is one name that is not on the board that I feel like deserves mention is you get a transfer coming over from Nebraska in Alante Brown. Tight end room, you are going to lose Daniel Barker, who was your 4th leading receiver last year, but your 5th leading receiver and 2nd leading receivers among tight ends and Malik Carr returns, as well as getting a transfer coming over from Boise State and Tyneil Hopper to bolster up that tight end room. Probably will end up sitting behind Malik Carr, who had 209 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Spartans last season. Offensive line-wise, you lose Matt Carrick, Jarrett Horst, and Brian Green, but you return Nick Sumac and J.D. Duplain, as well as getting a transfer coming over, and Keyshawn Blackstock. Blackstock is coming over, I believe by way of community college, but I could be wrong. Yep, community college, 6th nationally ranked player at a community college, according to 24/7 Sports. Defensively, let's see what the Spartans are losing, gaining, bringing in, all that good stuff. You are going to lose Jacob Slade, had himself a pretty solid season last year with not only 20 tackles, did have 20 tackles last season. Again, was a pretty solid contributor, but you are going to return a lot of your key contributors on the defensive line from last year. Simeon Barrow, Chris Bogle, Avery Dunn, and Derek Harmon return, as well as getting a transfer in Adelaide, who comes over from Texas A&M, I do believe. Yeah, comes over from Texas A&M, former four-star recruit out of high school, really talented, really coveted player. And then you get a freshman in Bai Joby entering, who was the 54th ranked player nationally, according to 24/7, a four-star coming out of Norman, Oklahoma. In the linebacker room, you do lose Ben Van Sumeren, who had 73 tackles, 2 sacks last year. That's good for being the third leading tackler on the Spartan team last season. However, your top tackler returns. Cal Halliday had 120 tackles last year. You also returned Jacoby Widman and Aaron Brule. Widman did lead the team in sacks last year with 5.5 of them. And Aaron Brule was not far behind with 4 of his own, as well as Simeon Barrow, who also had 4 sacks. Defensive back-wise, you do lose Kendall Brooks, who was your second leading tackler last year. Still in triple digits, though, with a grand total of exactly 100. Amir Speed and Xavier Henderson will leave the defensive back grouping as well, but you do return Angelo Gross. You also are going to be returning Charles Brantley, who had a pick that he returned for a touchdown last season, so pick 6, and then Jaden Mangum there as well in the defensive secondary. I think the Spartans got a lot of really good pieces on the defensive side. It's just offensively, especially starting out with that quarterback room, what can the Spartans get going? Your head coach is Mel Tucker, offensive coordinator Jay Johnson, and defensive coordinator is Scotty Hazelton. As we take a look at the Spartans in 2023, any game at home is going to be underlined. Any game that the Spartans will have to play on the road or in italics or the slanted text. Any game that I highlight in green will be a game the Spartans should be able to easily win, or that I have them being able to easily win. Any game in yellow is, okay, the other team puts up a fight, but I still see the Spartans coming out on top, and red is a loss. So without further ado, let's predict the Spartans in 2023, and I think they should start out 2023 with 2 easy wins here. Again, really feeling out that quarterback room. Actually wouldn't surprise me to see a whole lot of quarterbacks get some time. Wouldn't surprise me to see Kim Hauser, maybe even that freshman Leave It, get some time there as well to really figure out the quarterback room in those first 2 opening games. Obviously, Central Michigan's the more challenging one out of the 2 than that of Richmond, but Richmond's still pretty solid at FCS team. Both of them can give Michigan State their slight challenges, but none of them will beat the Spartans. The Spartans will beat both of them handedly before the game against Washington. And ring the upset bell, because this could be a game right here that a lot of people circle and pick the upset. Sorry, had to take a water break. Make sure you all stay hydrated out there, by the way. Water is important. Washington is going to be a very good team and don't know what happened there. Washington's going to be a very good team and could crash the college football playoff party, could end the Pac-12 streak of not having a team in the college football playoff. This is a very good team. You have Michael Penix coming back, one of the Heisman frontrunners, one of the most talented wide receiver rooms in America, a very good defense, a great coach in Kalen DeBoer. This Washington team has everything. And while that pass defense has to get better at Washington, again, Michigan is trying to figure out their quarterback room. And while I think they have some good options at wide receiver, I just don't think the quarterback play is going to be at the level to where Washington is going to be paid for having what could be a lackluster secondary again in 2023. And while, again, I like a lot of the pieces on this Michigan State defense, and the Spartans are going to play hard, make this one a contest, but I think Washington, especially offensively, too much talent, and Michigan State will be taking their first loss of the season. And then you get a game against Maryland. Maryland is a lot of people's sleeper pick in the Big Ten Conference. Maryland is a team that is returning Talia Tagovailoa, and it just feels like this team is ready to explode. However, there are a lot of questions defensively, and I think that Michigan State will have learned enough coming out of that Washington game where quarterback play, I don't think is going to be a huge issue from this point on in the season, although it definitely could hurt them at times. And I think Michigan State on defense, I think they're going to be able to slow down what Maryland is going to throw at them. They got a couple good running backs in there that I think Michigan State is more than capable of stopping, and the Spartans are going to be able to get that win there against the Maryland Terrapins at home, in my opinion. So now you get your first road game on the road to Iowa in a game that I just have the Spartans losing. I think Iowa's the much better team, and while that offense was not great last year, it should get better in 2023. Cade McNamara, Eric All, they got some good options in the skill position groupings, and while the offensive line, okay, there's room for improvement there as well. This Iowa defense is world class. They're going to shut down whatever Michigan State is going to be able to throw at them, literally and figuratively, and the Hawkeyes will win. And now you get your bye week here. So 3-2 going into the bye week, not a bad start. You lose to a couple quality teams, and you even beat a quality team in Maryland. You'll go on the road and beat Rutgers there as well. Rutgers is a very struggling program in the Big Ten right now, just trying to find their place, find the talent to just get into a bowl game. And I think Michigan State's going to get a much-needed road win to help bolster their morale, because the second half of the schedule is brutal. This rivalry game here against Michigan can definitely remain close, but the Wolverines, my apologies, are much better than the Spartans in pretty much every position grouping out there. Michigan is physical. They got great quarterback play. Their rushing attack is great. The wide receiver room, okay, maybe you have some questions on whether or not they'd be a legitimate contender with that wide receiver room, but I have full faith in that wide receiver room. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to be slinging it all over the field this year. Michigan will be able to beat Michigan State, and then going on the road to play the Minnesota Golden Gophers. It's a team that lost some physicality, right, on the offensive line. Mo Ibrahim, of course, is gone, as well as a change of guard at the quarterback position with Anthony Kaliakmanis. That kind of happened midway through last season, or maybe transitioned before, again, not quite sure. But I think Minnesota's got a lot of talent defensively, too. Don't think Michigan State will be able to bust through that defense, especially the defensive line of Minnesota. And so the Golden Gophers get a win against the Spartans. But I think Michigan State is going to bounce back and beat Nebraska here in Week 10. Nebraska is a very interesting team. Again, Matt Rule is going to be that coach coming in here. You got a new quarterback in Jeff Sims with Casey Thompson transferring out. And Nebraska's got a very, very good roster. And this game is going to be very competitive from the Cornhuskers here. But history is that Nebraska definitely has had some trouble with Michigan State in the past, and Michigan State's going to find some ways to win some games this year, and I think especially defensively, Michigan State has what it takes to slow down what Nebraska's going to throw at them, and the Huskers will be defeated by the Spartans, who pick up their 5th win on the year, so you need one more to make a bowl game. It will not come against the Ohio State Buckeyes. This is one of the most talented offenses in America, and although some questions about the defense are there, Michigan State does not have enough talent offensively, at least from the quarterback standpoint, to be able to make Ohio State pay. Skill position groupings, well, hey, Jalen Berger, really good player. They got some good options at wide receiver, just not enough to make Ohio State pay. They don't have enough to keep up with Ohio State's dynamic offense. Michigan State will lose that game, but they will beat Indiana, and they will solidify their place in a bowl game. Indiana is a team that I do not think is going to be very competitive this year. They're losing a lot of talent to the portal and elsewhere. And with the Indiana Hoosiers, I think I've said this in pretty much every video, but we could see Tom Allen being on his way out the door with the Hoosiers. So the Spartans pick up their bowl game clinching win, and then a neutral site game, surprisingly somehow, against Penn State will go south as well. Penn State, very legitimate team. Drew Aller, a very legitimate defense. Great options in the running back room. I apologize for what my green screen is doing. But Michigan State finishes out the year 6-6. Again, there are a lot of good pieces on this defense, and if the quarterback room can surprise us a little bit, maybe if Noah Kim is just a really good option, then, well, this team can be a lot better than what their record is being predicted by me. But 6-6, I think no matter what happens, this team finds a way to make a bowl game, and they will be playing postseason football in 2023. So there you have it, my Spartan predictions in 2023. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And until the next video, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next one. Goodbye.